5 years ago, you had an idea. What was that?
I want to make a windmill.
A windmill?
Yeah. After I dropped out from school, I went to library and I read a book titled Using Energy, and I get information about windmill. And I try and I made it.
I had never seen an aeroplane before. I had never slept in a hotel. So, on stage that day in Arusha, my English lost. I said something like, I tried and I made it. Maybe one day you will watch this on the internet. I said to you, trust yourself and believe. Whatever happens, don't give it up.
Because the way I started my work, I was inspired by a book. So if I can give out like that information to a lot of young people, there's a lot of talented young people around the world that they can be able to inspired by that information to do the project in their own community to solve their problems. That's what I'm hoping to continue doing, to share my experience and my knowledge.
So at that time, it was the time that I was supposed to start my high school. And because of the situation, my parents couldn't afford to pay for my tuition. And I was forced to drop out of school. Schools in Malawi, primary schools are for free, while secondary schools you have to pay for it. So at that time, when I had to drop out of secondary school, I looked at my father and looking those dry fields, it was the future I couldn't accept. I didn't want to become like him. I didn't want to become a farmer. It's not that I didn't want to become a farmer because I hate farming, no. I love farming. But I didn't want to become a farmer just because that's the only thing that I can do with my life. It was really hard for me because that was the only way for me to get out of that situation. So lucky enough, 1 year before I graduated from the primary school, some organization donates the books at the school and they open up a small library. I didn't want to be behind from my friends who were going to school at that time. So I decided to start going to the library to read books. One thing that I also started doing was to ask my friends who were going to school at that time, ask them, what did you study today? And sometimes I'll take notes from them, trying to just keep up with the schoolwork. Asking people, how does the car work? They say, you just put in a gas and then you start the engine and you can drive. I'm like, I know you need to put in a gas, but how does that gas turn the engine to speed that you can be able to drive? Nobody could really tell me. So for me, I really wanted to find the reason behind it. One other thing that I remember, when I was also much younger, I remember some of my friends were introduced to movies. So every morning when they come to school, they'll be telling me that last night we want to watch this movie. People were doing all this action, jumping up and down. It just started in my mind growing, how is it possible that you can see an image of a person doing all kind of action just in a piece of grass? I couldn't really understand. So when I got this chance of going to read these science books, I was hoping that I'll have the answers towards the question that I had for quite a long time. When I went to the library, I found this book called Using Energy. It had these pictures of the windmill. When I opened inside, they say windmills could pump water and generate electricity. The word pump water attracted my attention. I was like, if I can be able to build this windmill to pump water, then I can be able to solve the problem that we are facing. The problem was that I didn't have any money to buy materials for my windmill. So what I end up doing, I end up going to the junkyard. I had no idea what exactly I was looking at the junkyard. when I was doing this, a lot of people were laughing at me. They were thinking that maybe I'm going crazy.
Because of my example, many young people in my village have gone back to school.